Hey, it's Soleil, and this is episode 517 of the Orange Pill Investor. And today we are going to talk about fucking around, and we are also going to talk about finding out. And oh shit, what's up, Scuba Steve? Uh, Good to see you, brother. What's up, Howard? Woke me up. Aren't we supposed to be hibernating in winter? Man, I was just looking at the annual temperatures in Arizona because it takes me about 30 minutes for my hands to thaw out after I walk the frickin' dog. And even in the desert, like it gets cold at night, so it was still like 30 or 40 overnight winter temperatures, which would suck for my morning walk, but it gets up to the 70s, like high 60s, low 70s. So I could probably still do shorts and a t-shirt with that kind of weather. What's up, Kevin? Volume on strategy is going up, possibly bottoming. I would love to get on board with that. And I got to really try to stay neutral. That's kind of been my whole thing from the very beginning, is being 99% directionally neutral and just taking the theta profits with at least the reasonable understanding that for 100 years the stock market is up and to the right at least a little. So it's more up than down, as long as you don't pick a stock that goes bankrupt. So at least moderately bullish to a certain extent. But I picked crazily irresponsibly long to the upside in 2025, and it was catastrophic for the total portfolio. But at least for the next few months, until the spam situation is settled, and even the temporary soft fork that is being proposed is still only like a year, but that should kick the can down the road and allow them to maybe put something permanent in. And then Luke is working on an emergency fork. So in the meantime, if some CSAM does sneak its way onto the blockchain, I don't know if anybody else doesn't have their head in the sand, but at least Luke supposedly is working on something that in emergency you'd probably have to have the miners to cooperate and agree to build on a different chain that doesn't have CSAM in it. And whoever mined the blocks on the offending chain would just get fucked. But I don't really see Bitcoin showing signs of life until that threat is neutralized. That's just a suspicion, though. Like that's just like my opinion, man. We could totally bottom and get a fucking V-shape pump or whatever. Let's actually look at Bitcoin. But like it almost just kind of seems like I don't really believe in coincidences necessarily, but it would be kind of weird if we get the temporary soft fork by like February. I think that's when it's supposed to come in. And when does the current administration need the stock market to soar? Like 6 months before the election, right? Before midterms. So that puts us like Q1. So I think they can bend the market over for the next 3 months without causing too much long-term heartburn for themselves. And then they can just come in and save the day. The Fed has to panic, cut rates, pump the market, inject liquidity, Bitcoin soars. Bitcoin is healed from the last 4 years of attack. I'm including the big block, the block size wars that we thought we won, but probably didn't because of the SegWit discount. Taproot inscriptions hack built upon that vulnerability. And then CoreV30 is kind of like, it's kind of like the secret societies where they're sneaking around doing their dirt, but then at some point they become so brazen that their transgressions are just kind of out in the open. You could think anything that's going on in the Middle East right now, where they just no longer give a fuck. And I think that's kind of what V30 was. It was like, it's too late for you to stop us, and almost like getting caught in the transgression is the point. It's like that dumb bitch from was it? I can't remember. Not Ali Sheedy, or the one that was in Stranger Things. Anyway, one of those chicks got caught shoplifting, and she had plenty of money. It's like the transgression is the point. So graffiti on Bitcoin is not nearly enough of a transgression. The whole point, I think, really is to just like tear something down. The other one that I thought about was Fight Club, when it was like after he beat the shit out of that the good looking dude, and they asked him why, and he's like, I wanted to know what it felt like to destroy something beautiful. I don't know exactly the exact quote, but it's something along those lines. You know, all of the real secrets come out in these movies. Fight Club, Matrix, all that shit. They let their secrets out. The little sneaky fuckers. So that was the long way of saying that until we've got a resolution, I don't think the Bitcoin network pumps. But as far as my trading is concerned, I'm just gonna trade as if I don't know what's going to happen. It could go up, it could go down. Yes, sir. Good to see you, brother. Let's see. Emperor, I saw the 185 covered call yesterday expire today on strategy. I'm just gonna scalp weekly premiums with a flyover like strategy now that IV is high and those prices are attractive. Yeah. That was the first thing I thought of when strategy was going to ATM, and I was like, well, shit, if they're if they're selling their shares to buy Bitcoin, then maybe I should do the same thing. It didn't work out in November of 2024. The best thing to do would have been just no covered calls on. But you know, just heaping the covered calls on after that spike, you know, if you didn't want to exit your position completely, would have been the play. So for today, I'm going to do a little something different. So the title is Bitcoin Treasury Companies plus CoreV30 equals fuck around and find out. And so I have this list of the top 100 Bitcoin treasury companies. And what that, you know, there's a lot of gaslighting with the core knots debate. And there are people who are worried about CSAM and CP getting on the blockchain. And then the core supporters are like, oh, you're fudding, you're fear mongering. And then it just, you know, kind of goes back and forth. And one of the arguments was put forth like, hey, the node runners are basically hosting that illicit material for free, and we would have thousands, maybe millions of people with that material on their computers. But the people who say that that's FUD would argue that you wouldn't be held liable because you wouldn't be the one distributing it. Like someone had sent it to you and you'd be able to argue in court. That I'm not going to even address. The point would be if that gets on the blockchain and then that is seen as a black swan and Bitcoin's value goes down, what are shareholders of Bitcoin treasury companies going to do if all of their stocks get cut in half or take any kind of haircut whatsoever? They're going to look for somebody to blame, and they like to fucking sue people. And I think they would have a reasonable case because we've been talking about this shit for months. And if a treasury company doesn't at least perform a thorough review of, core versus knots, what to run, what to support, how to best protect the asset that they're claiming is all that matters. All we're going to do is stack sats. We're going to borrow money to stack sats. We're going to sell preferred stocks to stack sats. And so if Bitcoin is the only thing that matters, wouldn't you want to protect the value of your entire fucking balance sheet? I think that's a rhetorical question, by the way. I think it answers itself. And so a shareholder that found out that the custodians of their Bitcoin treasury company was running V30, and it was V30 that facilitated CSAM on the blockchain, and that Bitcoin took, and I don't think it would be necessarily a permanent like death blow, right? The emergency soft fork that Luke's got, maybe that we avert disaster. But if we suffer any type of consequences, shareholders might be looking to file some lawsuits, and anyone on the wrong side of frickin' images of children on the blockchain, any Bitcoin treasury companies on the wrong side of that, regardless of whether the node runners are safe from lawfare or not, there's a much easier case to be made, I think, that they failed their fiduciary responsibility to protect assets. So I'm going to go through the top 100, and this might take a while. Maybe I'll just do some for effect. I don't know that everybody wants to sit here and watch me buy one share of every single one of these companies. But I mean, I already own enough strategy. And if anybody thinks that one share is not going to be enough, the dickhead who sued Tesla only had 9 shares, and the judge found in his favor, like ruled against Tesla, and invalidated Elon's pay package for 9 shares. So I already own a fuck ton of strategy, so I don't need to buy any of that. Mara, I'm actually going to skip. As much as I would love to sue Mara because they're a shitcoin, I refuse to even own them. So there's plenty of investors that hold this piece of shit. They can sue themselves. 21, I don't even know if that's publicly available. I don't have enough cash in the 5K account, so I'll probably have to do it here and make one big ass group. So XXI, right? Let's buy 1 share. Now, I'm not threatening to sue. I don't want to get myself in any trouble here. But I'm also not saying I wouldn't sue. I'd be happy to get in on a nice big price. Must be in increments of a penny. Piss off. What do you mean? I'm trying to buy in increments of a penny. I'm trying to buy. Wait, that's not a fraction of a penny, is it? It's 81 cents. I'm going to buy 1 share. Oh, 82. There we go. Has to be an even number. Oh, that might be loud. Let me stop. And reshare without volume. Apologies to anybody who got the eardrums blown out. Where is it? All right, maybe I'll put this over on the other screen. Maybe I'll just do a handful and then I'll keep it moving. I think you're going to get the point. Metaplanet, I cannot purchase unless I do some rigmarole. CEPO, I've never even heard of. Bitcoin Standard Treasury Company. What the frick is this? So I'm actually learning a couple. Oh, that's Cantor. Okay. Hard to borrow. I don't want to buy it, so I'm going to buy one share. Wonder how much of this I'm borrowing on margin. Okay. Bullish BLSH. Okay. BLSH. Wow, there's a 2x. There's a 2x bullish. Ooh, $36. Man, that's steep. And you know what? Just for symbolic effect, I probably would only have to buy like the top 10, right? And you know, if you're wondering like, hey, isn't this manipulation? Is this kind of underhanded? Like all of life is manipulation, right? From the moment we're born and we start crying because we want to manipulate our parents into feeding us, wiping our asses, taking us to Disney, um, you know, hitting the drive-thru at McDonald's for a Happy Meal. We learn from day one that everything in life is manipulation. So I'm definitely not apologizing for um, holding companies' feet to the flames, and it's not a threat exactly. It's just kind of like a shot across the bow, little little heads up that if I'm thinking about it, I'm not the only one thinking about it. So Riot, one share, bump bump. Coinbase, man, Coinbase is gonna be pricey. Coinbase is kind of a shit coin too. I'm grateful to Coinbase because they got me my start on Bitcoin. I purchased through them. The fees weren't like terrible, but they are definitely a shit coin in the sense that they'll sell you shit coins. Um, so I don't think I really, just to prove a point, do I need to waste 236 of my dollars on a shit coin? I'm gonna skip Coinbase. I think I can make my point with on a budget, on a shoestring budget here. CLSK, I already have plenty of exposure to make that happen. Oh, really? Oh, this will be fun. Actually, this might be the most important one. So, Donald J. Trump. I mean, this is definitely a shit coin. I don't give a fuck who you voted for, but Trump coin and Melania coin. But I'm going to make an exception here because it would actually just tickle me to death uh, to be able to name these fuckers in a lawsuit. That would be hilarious. That I would just do that for the lulz. Okay. I already have exposure to Tesla. So how many have I done? I own Strategy, that's one. Cantor, two. No, oh, sorry. Strategy, one. 21. 21. 21 is two. Cantor's three. Bullish, four. Riot, five. Hut, six. CLSK, seven. Trump, eight. I already own Tesla, that's nine. Actually, jumping down to number 14, I already own some Strive. So I could probably skip Block. Let's just see what Block is trading at. What's the symbol? XYZ. Okay, wouldn't have guessed that one. $60. Maybe I'll come back and buy it later if I'm feeling froggy. Well, let's take a look at any of the rest of these. GD Culture Group. Galaxy. Any of these look interesting? Kindly. Yeah, another shitcoin. I wouldn't touch Naka with a 10-foot moto. SMLR is getting bought. Don't need to worry about them. No shit, GameStop. I forgot that they actually bought some Bitcoin. All right, side quest. What's GameStop trading at? 20 bucks. 20 bucks is 20 bucks. So 4 years ago when I was a new options trader, I would probably be trading this. I could sell cash secured puts, get 2% a week at the money. That's reasonable. I always have to look at GameStop just to see what's happening. It's like it's got legendary status. Booyah, never heard of that. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Gemini. Oh, Aranhe. I can't remember if that's is that Mason's company? Oh my god. Might have to buy a share of that one just so I can sue all my friends. Capital B, Smarter Web, BitDeer DeFi, Microcloud, Sequans. Yeah, I'm getting bored now. This is kind of a pain in the ass. Just scanning Figma, which reminds me of Smegma. Yeah, nothing is really. Yeah, I mean we're getting down to near like under 500 Bitcoin levels. Rumble? No shit. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll come through and add a few more, but I think this gets my point across. So let me see if I can highlight. Oh, that's my cipher. One share. One share. Oh, can I not highlight more? Can I not put them? Ugh. I want to put these all in one group. All right, I'll figure that out later. It won't let me. That's annoying. Can I multi-select? No. Well, fuck me. All right. I thought I was going to be able to put those all in one group so I could ignore them. But this will be fun. So the next 3 months, let's see, December, January, February, will be fun. I'll be watching BIP 444, which I don't think that's actually what it's called anymore. Reduced temporary soft fork. There might be another one, or maybe that's just the name for all of the. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a user activated soft fork or a miner activated soft fork. And I need to do a little bit more research on the difference. But there's some pretty good game theory in there about not wanting to be the last person to defect against CoreV30. If everyone holds strong, then it doesn't do anything. But as people start to realize that whoever defects first wins the most, and whoever defects last loses the most, it probably causes a stampede out of core. So I'm eagerly awaiting for that to play out. But at least for now, I've got a good portion of the top 10 Bitcoin treasury companies in my portfolio. So all of you motherfuckers might want to make sure that you're doing the most for your shareholders because we're watching you. All right. Oh shit, I bought a tobacco company. I bought 22. What the fuck did I buy? Ah, Christ. Well, I could sue them too. Fuck them. All right, so XI. What is it, 21? What the hell is the fucking ticker? Hold on, let me see. I'm cussing a lot today. I'm feeling a little. Oh, wait. I thought CEP was I thought the CEPO was Cantor. What's CEP? So CEP, and I bought CEPO. They're both Cantor? Okay, so one is Cantor and the other is Equity Partners. Okay. Thanks for that heads up. So let's buy. What is CEPO on this thing? What is this? So the treasury company is CEPO. They've got 30,000 Bitcoin. And CEP's got 43,000 Bitcoin. Okay, I clearly don't know what's going on. But I'm just going to buy a share. You get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, everybody gets a lawsuit. We're doing it Oprah style up in here. Appreciate appreciate the heads up. Yeah. So, imagine their surprise when Bitcoin crashes to 50,000 and we load up the lawsuits and 22 is named and they're just like, what the fuck? I don't even own any Bitcoin. All right, let's close this position. Oh no, I'm gonna get hit with the wash sale rule. Let's just sell this. I mean, tobacco companies can buy Bitcoin too. It's for everyone. What's up, Tyler? Checked out the MSCI Morgan Stanley Index website. It's full of woke ESG stuff. Yeah, fuck those guys too. Oh god. I do have glasses that I could wear. So Cantor has 5 SPACs with similar names. Okay, well, if I sue 2 out of the 5, I think that sends the appropriate message. That's good. That's fine. Look, all of the stuff that I just bought are red already. This is hilarious. I don't know if the BLSH stands for bullish or bullshit, but whatever. Everybody's about to find out. All right, cool. So maybe I'll just leave it at this. This could at least be symbolic, and got a nice little diversified portfolio now. There's no second best. Does not really apply to fuck around find out theory. So I follow this self-defense website called Active Self-Protection, ASP. And one of the things that John Correa always says is that everybody gets first before anybody gets seconds. How do I explain it? Yeah. So anyway, if you're fighting 3 attackers, like everybody gets blasted at least once before you go back and start blasting anybody, before giving anybody a second helping. So yeah, maybe apparently in this scenario there is a second best. But with the fire sale that we got going on and the negative sentiment, I'm having way too much fun today, like more fun than I think I should probably be allowed to. Hopefully I'm sure this episode will be Exhibit A in court if it comes to that. And that'll be fine. All right, so enough fucking around, enough finding out for now. Let's actually see if there's anything that I need to do today. So strategy positions. Oh yeah, it's Friday. Definitely got to roll all my weeklies. I mean, I might get even more aggressive with this. That's how bearish I am with macro and the Bitcoin network at this point. So I'm gonna be able to. I've rolled this down twice this week, I think, and so I can just buy these back for 13 bucks a pop. And let's roll expirations out to next week. Generally, I go to the expected move and I try to collect at least 1% returns of the underlying's value. And Christ, it's down to 167. So, to get 1%, I could actually be even less aggressive and I could go up here to the 195 strikes. But I'm kind of inclined to just be pretty pessimistic about this whole thing. So that would be a $3 credit. That's almost 2% return on capital for the week. Even accounting for, let's see, 167 to 187 is 20 bucks. That's like 12% call away value. So my portfolio could go up 12% if we rally back to 187, plus I get to keep the 2%. So that would be like a 14% potential return for the week. Now, granted, if we rally back to 250, I lose up all that upside. But yeah, let's do it. I was tempted to actually even go a little lower on the strikes and collect even more premium. That should chip away at my margin use a little bit, so that is good. If Bitcoin, we crashed 75% off of all-time highs last time from 60 something to 15. So if we crash from, even being optimistic and saying we only crash 50% off all-time highs, if we crash from 120 to 52, that would be absolutely fucking crazy at this point. And yeah, all that shit's on the table. I mean, Bitcoin can literally do whatever it wants. There's no, I know the government has to print. I know everything says it should go up, but Bitcoin just DGAF. All right, so I'm still like the 240 strike. I can't even roll down below 230. So I think I have to just sit here and stare at this, even though I would love to roll it because it's 50% of what I sold it for. There's just nowhere to go unless I roll out to 56 days to expiration and add 2 weeks because January 9th expiration date is not available yet. Probably won't be available until next week, Wednesday or Thursday, maybe. And even when they do bring it in, those missing weeks, once they bring them in, there's hardly any volume in there, so the liquidity kind of sucks ass. So I might just be stuck holding this for 2 weeks, even though it's ready to roll after 4 days. They definitely don't care about my personal convenience. So yeah, probably I just put this one on yesterday, so this is just fine. Already losing money on it though, so that's cool. Yeah, this is ready to roll, but there's nowhere to go. Still got 42 days left on it. All right, let's check the IRA. Oh, actually, no, I didn't finish. Tesla. I sold a put? No shit. Okay, so maybe that's what's going to happen. wonder once I buy this put or buy these shares, if I'll end up with another 50 grand of margin use. That's probably what's going to happen. So Tesla shit in the bed also. My purchase price will be 417 minus the 950 that I collected. So my cost basis will be like 308, 07. So still be down quite a bit. So Monday we'll turn around and you know what? I could just get it over with. I could close this out. So I don't have to wait. Nah, it'll be kind of fun to see what happens when this gets assigned. So, all right, I'll just sit here and do nothing with Tesla. Yeah, this is gonna be a little bit of a pain in the ass. That I'll just have to remember that these are just one shares. All right, nothing else to do there. The IRA. Let's just start at the top. This, since I own shares, I can roll to any strike. So let's see what happens if I try to find a strike for more monies. That is pretty reasonable. Rolling to the expected move, I'll collect another 400 bucks. Limiting my upside pretty severely. But reducing my cost basis is the name of this game. All right. So my cost basis, my trade price is actually 334. That's right. I forgot I've had these for quite a while. So wow, the expected move is 440 to 445 strike. That's crazy. Pretty wild swing. What could I get on the weeklies? If I wanted to be aggressive with this, I could get over 1% at the expected move at the money. Holy shit, that's actually pretty good. I could get like 3% guaranteed returns if I wanted to throw away all my upside away. It's pretty crazy. The ivory rank isn't even that high. Interesting. All right, that's done. Okay, CLSK is also shitting the bed. I will be assigned some 500 shares here. The $12 covered calls are worthless, so let's just close them for a penny each. And now I can sell 2 more covered calls. I know a lot of people do not like risking selling under their cost basis, but I try to just ignore what it cost me because there's an emotional attachment to that. And the market doesn't care that you paid for something that's not worth what you paid for it. It reminds me of, I'm going to get super nerdy real quick, but it reminds me of fantasy football a little bit because somebody will draft somebody in the first round, and after they suck all year long, they still think they're worth a first round pick and they think they can trade them for other players. But once an asset tells you that it's not worth what it was what it used to be worth, you can't just expect everyone else to live in your delusion. So I bought these 200 shares for $15.50. The market is telling me they're not worth $15.50. The market is telling me these are worth $9. So I have to trade in reality. The only alternative to just dealing with it is bag holding, which means you just don't sell covered calls. And if you have to wait 6 months, 6 years for the price to go back up to $15.50, you could do that. If I was really worried about it, I could go out to 45 days and like collect a little bit of cash out here at 15, right? If I was super paranoid about it. But in general, I just I don't really fuss too much about it. Current price is $9. I'm just going to round that to 10. So adding a buck to that gets me to 10.20, which conveniently enough is the expected move. So if I sell the 10.50, then I'm building about 10% call away value in, and I'm collecting actually over 2% of its current value. So I'm getting a guaranteed 2% return, and I'm building in a potential 10% return on current prices, not the cost basis. Monday, I will sell 5 more covered calls on these 500 shares that I will be assigned and continue to reduce my cost basis. Next week's put probably might get assigned too. And I'm just going to stop selling the puts though. It's kind of a pain in the ass trying to calculate my buying power. So Tesla done. CLSK done. And strategy. Same situation. I've only had this on for a day. These are not ready to roll. The Poorman's covered calls, probably not ready either. Like I would have to roll to the 260 strike. I can't roll to January 9th. They're not available. So I'm basically just stuck hodling here and letting theta do what it does. All right, Cypher. I decided to fuck with Cypher because the the guys in the group that actually know about mining stocks like Cypher and Iron based on the fact that they are AI plays on top of the mining, whereas some of the other miners don't. And I wouldn't know that because I don't actually do research in 90% of the companies. I've done a shitload of research and strategy and in Tesla. So until their thesis changes, I don't really need to. Obviously, I have to keep researching strategy for the shows and stay up to date on it. But with the miners, I usually just go after whichever one is the most liquid and pays the most premium, and just not really care about the 10Ks. I don't read any of that crap. However, if somebody smart that I know likes something, then I'll give it a harder look. So that's why I added this one. Yeah, so I sold the 1450. I will be assigned. So on Monday, I will have to sell a covered call against my 100 shares. And yeah, so I'll get assigned some. Wait, why do I have cash here? What does Cypher cost? Yeah. Oh wait, this is the IRA. Yeah. So this buying power is fake. That money will get sucked out once I'm forced to buy 100 shares at 1450. So we'll sell a covered call on Monday. Not ready to roll. Keep it moving. All right, I've got 100 shares of Tesla here. This is expiring, basically worthless. So let's close it. Pay our blood money. And let me just take a peek. What's my cost basis? So my cost basis over here, it sucks. It's 415. I forget what I reduced it by though, by selling the covered calls in the first place. But let's do the same. So covered call, limiting my upside, taking a guaranteed profit now. Did I skip CLS guy? No. All right, done did that. These are expiring worthless, so let's close them. See if I can get away with closing them for a penny. Okay, good. I didn't want to pay 2 if I can get away with paying 1. Same deal here. My trade price is 11.25, but you know, you can probably still subtract, I would say 50 cents to a dollar from this. So I'm not completely upside down on these positions. But I've got 600 shares, so let's go next week. Sell. Let's do the 1050s. That's about $1.20 call away value plus a guaranteed a little over 2%. See if I can get filled at the mid price. Probably not. Oh, and I only did 1. Let's do 6 of them. This should fill. Thank you. All right, let's take a look again. So I don't have any cash secured puts in this one, so my balance should actually be my balance. So I should have $1,400 to spend. And I think, wasn't Cypher approximately that price? What's iron? I think iron is way more expensive. So yeah, I won't be buying any iron. Let's just buy 100 shares. Skip the cash secured put bullshit for convenience sake. And this is kind of the other part of the strategy that I discovered. It's basically compound interest. So I got paid $1,400 worth of premiums. If I just let that sit there, then it just is what it is. But if I take the 1,400 and then I sell a covered call against it, now I'm earning premiums on top of premiums. And it's more of a compound interest deal. All right, so building 10% call away would be adding about $1.30, $1.40 to this, which gets me to 14.15. So I could sell the 15, the 15 and a half. My cost basis is 13. So I'm willing to be pretty aggressive and greedy with this. So let's just go collecting 50 cents is actually like a 4% guaranteed return for the week, which is pretty sweet. Plus there's a 10% call away value. Like I'm so bearish right now because of everything that I talked about. I'm tempted really just to sell at the money and just collect a metric ass ton of premiums, but I'm trying to be irresponsibly responsibly short here instead of irresponsibly short. All right, I got CLSK. I'm tempted. The premiums are so good on Cypher. I mean, I just added these, but if the premiums, so I collected 2% returns here. I got 4% returns here with a similar call away value. That means that if I can afford it, I should probably be trading Cypher. So it's delivering better premiums, even though its IV rank is lower. And it has the benefit of smart people I know are saying that it's an AI play. So I'm going to try to remember that next week. I've only had these shares for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. But selling 600 shares would give me $6,000. I could just put that all into Cypher. I've got nothing against CLSK. I don't really know jack shit about them. But if I can collect more premium for less collateral, that just makes more sense. So I'll keep an eye on that for next week if that trend continues. I think that's it for the main account. Let's check chats and then I'll move over to the 5K account, which sadly enough is turned back into 5K. What's up, Buffalo? Rally back to 187, words I never thought I'd hear. Good morning to you too. Peter Pan, long-term cash secured put on CLSK and Mara. Long-term, what do you mean by that? I never sell any options beyond 45 to 60 days. So I know some people really like, so Mara's a shitcoin. I won't touch that, period. But let's say CLSK, you could go out here to January 20, and you could put up $7 of collateral and get paid $1.90, and that would be, let's see, 10% of 7 would be 70 cents. So this would be 25% returns. Actually, the mid price would be $2. Let's just say it's 210. Let's say you could get this for 210. That would actually be 30% returns, which sounds insane. You're like, oh shit, yeah, 30% returns. But the theta on this is so low. Where's theta? Yeah, theta is so low here. Actually, that can't even be right. 0.32. It's not that high. That'd be like 30 cents a day. Yeah, it's not right. That doesn't pass the sniff test for me, because that would, yeah, that means that this thing would decay in like a month. Point is, you'd have to wait a year and a half to collect the 30%. And that doesn't make any sense to me. The theta acceleration curve begins at around 60 days. It's at its max at 45 days, according to Tasty Trades research. And then technically it lasts all the way to 0, but they generally recommend selling at 45, rolling between 21 and 25, because gamma risk starts to increase under 21 days to expiration. So you can keep riding the theta curve all the way down to 0 if you want, but you're exposing yourself to more and more gamma risk. And in their philosophy, it's not really worth it. And so I generally tend to try to follow that. Now, I do know there was one person that was a strategy holder that I talked to, and they needed to like pay off a house for some reason, and they had a bunch of shares of strategy. So for them, like, they went out, I don't know, like 6 months, and sold, a covered call to collect, I don't know, 20 grand or something. I don't know, like, if you have a specific purpose and you just need that to happen, I suppose that could make sense. But from a pure premium profit perspective, it doesn't really make sense to go beyond 45 days. All right, look at that. I started the 5K challenge in March of 2024. At one point, it was up to like 35, something like that. And I have ridden the leverage all the way back down to 5K, which, if it wasn't so painful, would be kind of funny. The 5K challenge is literally 5K again. All right, got paid 24. It's worth nothing. Let's roll it to next week. Same, 930. Let's sell the 1050. Collect 26. That's almost 3%. Maybe 2.5. Let's try again. 0.24. 0.24 probably won't fill. Okay. That was a nice jinx. I liked it. Nothing to do but sit and wait for my 100 shares of ASST to potentially get called away at $1. Once this pumped, I was able to sell a covered call for 15. And now I'm just waiting to see if it expires worthless or my shares get called away. I'm fine either way. All right, rolled this out. I'm upside down on the Cypher and Wolf puts that I sold with my brother-in-law. So we'll just hold these for 3 more weeks to see if we get assigned. Same deal with this $5 put that I sold in Strive for. I got paid like $3 in premium, which would put my cost basis closer to, I don't know, $2 or something. So still didn't work out. I did it because it seemed pretty interesting why they were paying so much premium, but I think the market kind of knew what kind of pipe deals they had available. So they knew the value was going to probably shrink back down to $1.50. So that's why they were valued the way that they were, but it did seem kind of weird. I just rolled these out. These are probably fine. This one, unfortunately, well, yes, isn't worth shit. But yeah, January 9th isn't available, so I'll just have to sit on this one. Credit spread is getting threatened. This one actually could be a pain in the ass. This seemed like a no-brainer, selling a put credit spread. After falling this far, it seemed like it couldn't fall below 170, but it's trying to. But anyway, nothing to do but sit and wait. This is a pure theta play. Same philosophy exists. You wait 2 or 3 weeks and try to roll it for half of what you sold it for. I'll be lucky to be able to roll this down and out to break even. Buy myself a little bit of time. Speculative buy, just in case Strive went to the moon, but it doesn't look like anything's going to the moon anytime soon. These attack the tails will all die in a month. And this bad boy, this is painful. So this is where half of my portfolio got sunk into. In no rational portfolio would you put half of the entire value into a leveraged product. But I never saw this coming. I never saw us falling this far, clearly. But that's what I get for making directional assumptions in the first place. This was cheap, but it'll probably expire worthless as well. And then, I bet it's going into the toilet along with everything else. See, I got 100 shares. Yeah, I've done everything I can do here. And I don't really have any buying power to speak of. So, nothing to do but grit my teeth and keep plugging away. You are absolutely welcome, Peter. All right, we're all caught up on the chats. And this was fun for me, even during the bloodbath. So hopefully everybody is treading water. And, I think we still win. And I tweeted the other day Lynn Alden's interview. And I said, nothing stops this train, in quotes, because that's her battle cry. But then my part of the comment was, sometimes it's just late to the station. So we'll get our we'll get our $1 million Bitcoin at some point. It's just not going to be this year. Those calls for $1 million aged like sour freaking milk. So